The number one holy grail, secret ingredient, secret sauce ingredient that is pretty much the only thing I take anymore. What is up, everyone? It's Nelson from Aesthetics, your favorite bodybuilding coach. Today's topic, pre-workout. So the big three ingredients you want to look for, also how to make your own, as well as the pros and cons of each, which one is right for you physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and of course the number one supplement that I take, and it's pretty much the only thing that I take anymore besides caffeine. So stay tuned till the end for that. Pre-workouts. So they've been around forever, but those of you looking to take it for the first time or want to get a little bit more educated on what to look for in a pre-workout, what each ingredient does, then this is the video for you. So pre-workout, what is it? It's typically a supplement. It comes in a powder. You mix it with water. It has an array of different ingredients, chemicals, and it's supposed to help you increase your athletic performance, energy, endurance, and your focus. You take it 15 to 30 minutes before your workout, and boom, you are going to be an absolute beast in the gym. Well, that's the hope. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of ingredients that pre-workouts have. So how do you know if that 40 bucks that you're spending on that pre-workout with that shiny label is actually worth anything, and you're not just paying for a shiny container? Well, today I'm gonna tell you the big three ingredients to look for in a pre-workout and how much of each ingredient you should be looking for and for that pre-workout to have. Also, there are other different ingredients in pre-workouts, but I'm just gonna be talking mainly about those three that are recognized to have the biggest impact in your training. Starting off with number one, and it's probably no surprise, it's caffeine. Before pre-workout, caffeine was the way to go. It's proven to give you extra boosts of energy, boost your performance, help you get more awake and alert. You're not gonna be having a good workout if you're sleepy and drowsy, whether it's before work, after work. And then most of them will have anywhere between 150 to 140 milligrams of caffeine. And now for me, I'm not sensitive at all to caffeine, so whether I take a whole bunch or a little, I barely feel the effects. But if you're very sensitive to caffeine, you may want to be on the lookout for a pre-workout that doesn't have any more than 200 milligrams of caffeine, or get a non-stim pre-workout that doesn't have caffeine. And you can get your caffeine another way, maybe an energy drink, coffee, anything that isn't as high of a dose if you're very sensitive to caffeine. Another thing I want to talk about is the caffeine crash you may experience from taking a pre-workout, and that's one of the main reasons why I don't take pre-workout anymore. But there are ways you can prevent or kind of mitigate that crash that you may experience from taking pre-workout. The most common type of caffeine that you'll find is called caffeine anhydrous, and that will have a more kind of immediate effect absorbed, and you kind of get that elevation in the caffeine levels very quickly, but it can cause a crash later. So if you're prone to crashing, which is one of the reasons I don't take, again, pre-workout anymore, it's because I don't really like that crash or don't want to take anything else to kind of help me with that crash, is to look for a protein powder that has a blend of different caffeine types or a different type of caffeine besides the caffeine anhydrous. So for example, some of them will have the caffeine anhydrous as well as green tea extract, caffeine malate, or natural caffeine that won't cause as much of a spike as caffeine anhydrous will. And it'll give you more of a sustained response, sustained levels of caffeine. That way they don't just, spike and then dip. You have just more elevated, sustained elevated levels of caffeine, and that can help you with the crash. The second thing that you can do, and this is purely anecdotal, is taking an additional 200 milligrams of L-theanine, and that's addition to the L-theanine that it may already be in your pre-workout. When I tried this, I didn't experience a crash later, and I tried this several times. So like I said, I don't take pre-workout because of that crash, but the times I took it with additional L-theanine, and I will link L-theanine down in the description down below, I didn't get that crash later. And L-theanine, what it does on its own, it improves focus, improves mood, but in my case, what it did, it helped me not get that crash later. However, another thing that you can do is if you're only taking caffeine as pre-workout, I recommend trying to take with some L-theanine. That could really help improve your focus as well and your overall mood, especially if you're very sensitive to kind of get jittery with caffeine or any pre-workout. The second ingredient you want to be on the lookout for in your pre-workout is L-citrulline. L-citrulline is a vasodilator, meaning that what it does, it's an ingredient that helps expand the diameter of blood vessels. And what that means in your target tissue, your muscles, is that more diameter of the blood vessels means more blood flow in that target area, meaning that it kind of helps you get a lot more blood flow, causing the muscle to feel engorged with blood, or also called the pump. You know that feeling of the muscles tightening, feeling, filled with blood. And that is one reason why a lot of people will take pre-workout, is just for that pump effect. So if that is you, instead of like a pre-workout with a whole bunch of caffeine and different things, you might just be better off with just a pump product. And that's what they call, you kind of search pump product or pre-workout, pump pre-workout, and it'll typically kind of lead you to a pre-workout that doesn't have a whole bunch of other stuff, just stuff for the pump. And we'll get to that a little bit more. Now, in pre-workout, you'll see two different types of L-citrulline. L-citrulline on its own, it'll just say L-citrulline. And for that kind, you want to, looking at pre-workout, to have at least 3 to 6 grams. Or another one that it'll have is citrulline malate 2-to-1, meaning that it has both L-citrulline and also citrulline malate. Both are vasodilators, but they work in different pathways. And if it has that combo, citrulline malate 2-to-1, you want to look for it to have a dosage of at least 6 to 9 grams. Obviously, the more the better. So if what you're looking for is the pump, then make sure it's on the higher end of those ranges. Now, there are other ingredients in pre-workout that will help with the pump. Notable ones are glycerol and nitrosamine. So the pre-workout that you're looking to get is a little bit lower on that range of the L-citrulline or citrulline malate, but it also has nitrosamine and or glycerol, then it is gonna make up for that lack of L-citrulline and citrulline malate, because those are also ingredients to give you the pump. Also remember that for the pump, you need lots of blood flow, meaning good blood volume. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated in order for you to get that pump. So don't dry scoop. For the love of God, do not dry scoop your pre-workout. Make sure you consume that pre-workout with at least 8 ounces of water. Most of them will say mix with 8 to 12 ounces of water. The number 3 ingredient that you want to be on the lookout for in a pre-workout is beta-alanine. The function of this ingredient is to help boost your endurance through your workout. Whenever you intake beta-alanine, it's converted to carnosine in the body. And what it does, it buffers the hydrogen ions that are a byproduct of anaerobic respiration. And they can be converted into lactic acid, that painful burn that you get in your muscles. That lactic acid will also decrease the pH of your muscles, which can hinder the muscle's performance. So in the end, what beta-alanine does is that it kind of delays the onset of fatigue by reducing that buildup of lactic acid by buffering those hydrogen ions that are a byproduct of anaerobic respiration. And what this does, allows you to get more intensity or work out harder for longer in your workout. And the dosage you want to look for in your pre-workout is anywhere between 2 to 4 grams of beta-alanine. One big thing, or one side effect of beta-alanine, and super important to know, is it has a side effect called paresthesia. What this is that tingly sensation of kind of like pins and needles on your skin. Almost like you got bugs crawling underneath your skin. So if this is your first time taking it, taking pre-workout, taking beta-alanine, make sure that you probably stick to a lower dose, maybe 2 grams only 4, or only half scoop that pre-workout if you're kind of wary about it. And if you feel all right, go ahead and take the other scoop or that other half of pre-workout, so you don't get overwhelmed by that tingly sensation, which can also cause you to lose a little bit of your focus. And if that's something that you really don't like, then go ahead and get a non-stim pre-workout. Those typically, along with not having caffeine, don't have beta-alanine that gives that itchy feeling. So now that we've covered those 3 basic, most important ingredients in a pre-workout, you probably already kind of have an idea of how you could make your own. All you need to do is buy these 3 ingredients individually and combine them, and boom, you have a homemade pre-workout. Easiest way to source these is on Amazon. I'll link them down below in the description. But the most common and brands that I've tried before that are good quality is NutriCost and Bulk Supplements. All right, and like I said, I'll link them down in the description below. You could buy a little, you could buy a lot at the time. Just make sure that you are storing them in a cool and dry place, not just for those ingredients, but also pre-workout in general. You do not want it to clump up or become like this one big rock hard pre-workout thing that you kind of have to scrape. That's definitely happened to me. So make sure you store it in a cool, dry place. Or if you have it in your gym bag, take it out of that sweaty gym bag when you get home from the gym and put it in your cupboard, pantry, or whatever, because you could basically make it go to waste if you're not careful. Now, one thing is that bulk supplements, their supplements don't come with the scoop. So what I'd recommend doing is either getting a scale and kind of measuring that out and seeing how much you're putting it, or using a scoop from another supplement product that you may already have and measure it out that way. So to make your pre-workout, all you need to do is get some water, grab those 3 ingredients, so your 3 to 6 grams of L-citrulline or the 6 to 9 grams of Citrulline Malate, and then add the 2 to 4 grams of BetaAlanine. And lastly, for the caffeine, you can either get the powder, just like the L-citrulline or BetaAlanine, or what you can do, and what I prefer a little bit more, is kind of using those flavor enhancers. You've probably seen them before, Mio, or there's also off brands that are a little bit cheaper that come with caffeine already in them. And you could basically add how much ever you want and, you know, just kind of squirt away. It is a little bit harder to kind of know how much caffeine you're putting, but after a while, you'll kind of get a good idea. You'll be like, okay, I didn't really get the caffeine. Maybe next time I'll just put a little bit more, or I put too much. This time I won't put as much this time. Now, before I get to my number 1 pre-workout ingredient, and pretty much the only thing I take anymore, I want to first discuss the pros and cons of getting an off-the-shelf pre-workout versus making your own homemade pre-workout. So starting off with the off-the-shelf pre-workout, obviously the biggest pro is that it's super convenient. You don't have to mix a whole bunch of different ingredients, carry 3 different things in your bag, and kind of measure them out and spill them in your car on the way to the gym. And don't have to go on Amazon and look for 3 different ingredients. Another con of off-the-shelf pre-workouts is that they can be pretty expensive, from $35 to $60 per container, and you'll usually get anywhere between 15 to 25 servings, and they'll come out to about $1.30 to up to $2 per serving. And then also another con is you can't really control how much of each ingredient you're getting. Most notably with the caffeine. If you've already had caffeine throughout the day, it might not be the best idea to have another 300 milligrams of caffeine that comes with that pre-workout. Also, another con is if you're very sensitive to caffeine, you may not be able to sleep at night after you get off work, take your pre-workout, and get through your workout. And in the case of those individuals that are sensitive to caffeine, what a lot of people and what they end up doing is buying 2 different pre-workouts, a non-stim and a regular stim pre-workout, having to spend even additional money to get those different 2 pre-workouts, so they can kind of control their caffeine intake, whether or not they need it. And now, instead of buying 1 pre-workout, and now you're buying 2 pre-workouts, and now you're super jacked, but now you're homeless because you spent all your money on pre-workout. Now, homemade pre-workout, what are the pros and cons of that? So as a pro of making your own is that you can relive your school kid dream of being a crazy scientist. But seriously, okay. The pro is that you can kind of mix and how much of each and kind of play around with it based on how you're feeling that day, what you're trying to look for in that workout of the day. So if you're trying to get a super good pump, maybe put a little bit more L-citrulline that day. And then another pro is that you kind of discover how much of each ingredient you best respond to, whether you respond to more beta-alanine or you don't really respond that well to citrulline, so you need to put a little bit more, or you respond really well, so you don't have to put as much. And also another pro is the way you flavor it. Like I said, if you use those flavor enhancers, you could buy different flavors and kind of switch it up every time. And also another pro is that you could typically make your own pre-workout for a lot cheaper. It typically will come out to 50 cents to about $1.10 per serving based on the dosages, the range of dosages that I kind of discussed earlier. Now, one of the obvious cons of making your own pre-workout is that it's going to be a little bit higher upfront cost because you have to buy basically almost the cost of 3 pre-workouts at once because you have to get each ingredient first. But what ends up happening is that you'll get more servings overall, triple, quadruple, or quintuple the amount of servings that you may get from a off-the-shelf pre-workout. So that is one of the big pros with that is cost. So if you are not made out of money, then making your own can be a good route for you. Another con of making your own pre-workout is space. You're having to buy three different things occupy either your counter, your gym bag, versus just having that one off-the-shelf pre-workout. However, there's a way around this. Once you find that right proportion of each ingredient that works for you, then you can kind of mix all of those into one container and just have to scoop out one thing at a time versus those three things individually. Another con of homemade pre-workout is the taste and I guess the mixability of the pre-workout. Off-the-shelf pre-workouts will typically taste a lot better than if you're using your own flavoring, like the Little Mios, like I said earlier, and will also mix better in water, those off-the-shelf pre-workouts. They have emulsifiers that help you kind of mix everything and not clump at the very bottom. Also, before we get to that last ingredient, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Click that notifications bell if you like content like this and want to see more. I post stuff like this and also exercise tutorials. Also, I want to know what you guys think. Comment down below any pre-workout recommendations that you have down below, and also share any tips that you have if you make your own pre-workout at home. All right, it's the time that you've been waiting for. The number one holy grail, secret ingredient, secret sauce ingredient that is pretty much the only thing I take anymore besides caffeine currently. And that is BetaAlanine. Whoa, Nelson, you already said BetaAlanine. Well, yes, I already said BetaAlanine. Okay, you got me. Put cups on me, okay? But it's the dosage that is different. So for my pre-workout, what I'll have is I'll typically have some caffeine, whether it's an energy drink, coffee, whatever it is. A few rice cakes really helps me get the energy and much better pump than L-citrulline. But 9 to 12 grams of BetaAlanine. Now, before you guys come at me in the comments and call me a madman, crazy person, please hear me out. When I up the dose from the standard 2 to 4 grams of BetaAlanine to the what you might call monstrous 9 to 12 grams, I felt a significant difference in my ability to keep up the intensity through my workouts. Through like the very last sets, like going hard to the very last set, especially during leg day, and still having energy to do my cool down cardio as well as my stretching. Before, I was only taking 3 grams of BetaAlanine. I would be like, okay, I'll just do my stretching and cool down cardio later. I'm super freaking tired. Let's go home. So especially on leg day, that increased dose of BetaAlanine, 9 to 12 grams, really helps me get out all the reps I need to. Since one, I'm not as fatigued, and also two, I'm not getting as much lactic acid accumulation, that burning sensation that might prevent you from going all out and getting those extra reps out at the end of your set. So if you want to try this, please don't just go from 3 grams to 10 grams immediately. Just increasingly up your dose by maybe 1 gram each day, especially if you do not like that itchy feeling. If you bump it up from 3 to 10, you are going to want to rip your skin off. Let me know in the comments if you take a similar dose or take more than the usual 3 grams that you most pre-workouts have. I want to know if I'm the only crazy one doing this. Nonetheless, don't knock it till you try it. Okay? Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you think I'm crazy for taking 9 to 12 grams of BetaAlanine in one go, let me know by leaving a thumbs up, a like on this video. All right? Nelly out.